at 7:04 on this Tuesday, January 16th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. It's a Tuesday. It's probably colder than it was yesterday, but we are here. There's, 6-7 inches of snow on the ground here in Lebanon, Tennessee. We've made it here okay and are on the air, of course, for Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. And believe it or not, Tracy Pope is right here at my right hand this morning. Tracy, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
It's you were here. In fact, we both turned into the driveway at the same time, probably 25 till maybe this morning. Both of us were early. And I was real early. You get here sometimes before I do, but not this morning, but at the same time.
Well, you know, I've been on the air with you for several years now, and this weather forecast just seemed a little bit more intense than normal. So I was checking in over the weekend, and Susie told me that you have never missed a show because of the weather. I said, well, then I will plan on being there. I will be there with him, and we will have a great show. So.
Well, we have a guest who we're going to join on the phone shortly, but prior to that, I think you've got a few things that you want to talk about.
Yeah, you know, the weather is beautiful. I'm really enjoying the snow. I'm so happy for children and teachers and schools. You know, at the hospital, we don't shut down. So 24/7, hospitals are open. We have a great team at the hospital, an emergency preparedness manager, Aaron Edwards. He's a longtime Lebanon native. He does a great job leading our team. Our president, Scott McCarver. So we come around the table several times yesterday, just making sure that our staff were available. We had the materials we needed. So, you know, you can feel secure at the hospital that we are just taking the best care of the patients that are there. And if you need us, we are there.
It is so good to know. And this requires some extra effort on the personnel. Obviously it does. There are so many people, when the weather's bad like this, they get the day off, and like even the school teachers you were talking about, who have a difficult job, but at least they enjoy a few days off here. Emergency personnel like you, the sheriff's, WEMA,
I know,
police.
You know, in normal situations, like you said, people might get a day off, an extra day to work from home. But when you're in emergency preparedness or healthcare, it's almost the opposite. When there are bad conditions, bad weather, sickness, high sickness, you know, that is when you are needed more at the hospital or in situations like that. So, yes, it is very surreal. I think lots of people maybe were going to take the day off on Monday for the holiday, but with the severe weather, they came on in to help make sure that we had good staffing and were able to take care of all of our patients.
Shows dedication on their part, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have a great team.
You ready to introduce our guest?
Yes, we have Kylie Pittman with us this morning. She's our lead physical therapist and certified lymphedema and wound care therapist. She's been on the radio with us before, and we're excited to have her with us.
All right. Well, Kylie, good morning. Welcome again to our program.
Good morning. Thank you all so much for having me today.
Well, we welcome you, of course, and want you, if you will, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you were trained, and what brought you to therapy services.
Absolutely. So like I said, I'm Kylie, and I'm originally from Huntsville, Alabama. I have a twin sister, and we were recruited to play basketball at Tennessee Tech University. So that's how I got to the area. I met my husband at Tennessee Tech our senior year of tech, and then I was trained at Belmont University in Nashville for my physical therapy school. Honestly, if you would have told me even during PT school that I would still be in the Nashville area, I would have told you that you're crazy. I was moving back to Huntsville, Alabama, and going to practice there, but the Lord had a little bit of different plan for that, and we are here in Lebanon. My husband and I have been here. We got married the week after graduation in August of 2016, and I've been here ever since. So I've actually been at the hospital now for 7 years. During those 7 years, we've had two little boys. We have a 5-year-old Grant and a 3-year-old Hudson. They are actually on the way to school right now, actually daycare. Our daycare is open to the Saints. So I'm actually at the hospital on the phone with you all right now. So we had one car. Adam dropped us all off, and we're here. So, again, thank you so much for having me. And I've been Like I said, I've been a physical therapist for 8 years now, but at Vanderbilt Wilson for 7.
Well, this must be something that you really enjoy and really feel attached to.
Oh, absolutely. I tell people all the time that this is definitely a calling, and I love physical therapy. I love just getting to see people at their lowest point and getting to encourage them every day is definitely something that I don't take lightly. And here at Vanderbilt Wilson, we don't take lightly. We have an awesome staff here at Vanderbilt Wilson County. Our boss, Bobby Sobieschek, is awesome. And again, it's just, I knew from the beginning I wanted to be a physical therapist starting my senior year of high school, and I never looked back. I never changed my sights on wanting to be a physical therapist since my senior year of high school. And it's because my sister and I both needed physical therapy to continue our basketball season. And I knew then, I was like, I want to be that person to help people at their lowest point. And I'm very thankful to get to do that every day. I tell people I don't wake up and scared to go to work, or I don't have the Sunday scaries, because I truly love what I do.
And at Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, we have inpatient physical therapy and outpatient physical therapy. So that means when you are in the hospital, if you have a condition where you need some additional rehabilitation, we have physical therapists that will help you at your bedside. And then when you're discharged from the hospital, you can make outpatient appointments to come back to the hospital for physical therapy services.
Well, tell us more about the services, if you will, Kylie.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Tracy said, I am lymphedema certified and wound care certified. So lymphedema is something that it's called when you have swelling of your arms or legs. So if you are sitting there listening to this and thinking, I have that, then you can give us a call and see how we can help you. We have lymphedema. We treat regular orthopedic patients. We're really thankful for our ortho docs here at Vanderbilt Wilson. We treat anything from a shoulder pain to back pain, neck pain. We also have wound care, and that's, diabetic ulcers, incisions that aren't closing, spider bites, anything along those lines. If you have an open wound that's not healing, we can see you. We also have speech therapy here in the outpatient and occupational therapy. So if you're having trouble with your hands, having trouble with activities of daily living, occupational therapy can address those. Recently, we have added vestibular therapy, which is, a lot of people know the word vertigo. So if you're having symptoms of vertigo where you're dizzy and you can't get it and it's unexplained, we actually have 2 therapists who have been really working on getting some education in vestibular therapy. And honestly, we are getting patients every week now. We have a new ENT, Dr. Feely, here at Vanderbilt Wilson, and we are getting a lot of his patients and really seeing the difference. Thankfully, being a part of Vanderbilt, we're able to reach out to our colleagues down at Pi Beta Phi who does this day in and day out. And they've actually come 3 or 4 times for an in-service, just an education, where we can learn from them, ask them questions. And that's what's really cool about being a part of Vanderbilt. We have that open communication all day, every day. So vestibular is our newest therapy that we're offering here, and dry needling. Dry needling goes along with orthopedic patients who, if you have tight upper traps, tight quads, tight hamstrings, dry needling will help that area. So we're growing every day here at Vanderbilt Wilson, and super thankful for the opportunity.
Well, it sounds like you've covered just about everything, or you do offer service in just about everything. But let me ask you, how many therapists do you have?
Absolutely. We currently have 7 full-time physical therapists, and when I got here 7 years ago, we had 3. So if that just explains the growth that we have covered in the last 7 years, it's been incredible. We have 1 occupational therapist, actually kind of 1.5. We're able to bring down an occupational therapist from upstairs. Like Tracy talked about, we have inpatient therapy and outpatient therapy. So kind of 1.5 occupational therapists, and we have 3 speech therapists. So we are growing like crazy.
And Kylie, that's only on the outpatient basis. Is that correct?
Correct. Okay. Outpatient, yes, ma'am. So total, we have 30 therapists that covers inpatient and outpatient services.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sounds like to add to what I just, my comment a moment ago, I think you've not left any stones unturned. You're covering everything. I don't know what else there is.
We're trying, Coleman. We're trying. we just want to serve our community the best we can. And I love to tell people our kind of niche is we're the only therapy in Wilson County, and I would beg to differ in Nashville. There may be a couple more like us, but we are able to see patients one-on-one. So we don't have to share our time hourly. At most outpatient clinics, you have to see 2 to 3 patients at a time just to keep up with the quota. However, here at Vanderbilt Wilson, we're able to see one at a time due to the amount of staff and space that we have here. If you've never seen our gym, it's pretty impressive. People say every day we get the comment of, wow, I didn't know how big and nice it was down here. So, again, that's an advantage that we love and that we don't take lightly, that we get to spend that one-on-one time with our patients and not have to share our attention.
And, when a patient needs physical therapy, thinking about the hospital, it's overwhelming. Where do you go? Where do you park? We have designated parking for our therapy patients. So you park right at the front door of our north tower. You walk in the double doors and it's immediately to the right. So very easy access. Like Kylie said, one-on-one patient care. You get the dedicated care. And so it's a really convenient to go to the hospital for physical therapy. And there are lots of therapy choices out there. And I think it's just typically something that you would just talk to your physician about before you get a referral to just ask that you would like to have therapy services at Wilson County Hospital.
All right, we've got a lot more to talk about. We'll talk about wound care next, but it's time for a break here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Bates Ford, that regular oil change, $39.95 up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal, $17.80 Franklin Road. Now in traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. We're starting to see more vehicles slipping and sliding out here this morning. Certain routes are moving like 40. It looks pretty decent over here right now in both directions up by Fessler's. Then you get over on the certain routes and they're snow covered. Again, be careful if you have to get out and about and slow it down. Again, we're seeing a lot of slipping and sliding out here. 65 starting to pick up just a bit coming down through Millersville as you work your way down from the north. 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services here in Middle Tennessee. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging online at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing has experienced new leadership and a new atmosphere. Same location in the heart of Lebanon, 731 Castle Heights Court on the Castle Heights campus. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing is providing 5-star clinical outcomes to short-term and long-term care residents. Call 615-444-4319 for a tour and to experience the new culture. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing.
Where a patient starts their cancer care matters. And here, that means Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center, Wilson County. It's Vanderbilt level care without making the drive to Nashville. From screening to diagnosis to treatment and recovery, patients can get all the care they need right here close to home. So now, having the best care team and most advanced treatment is closer than ever. Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center, making cancer care personal.
I know.
We continue. Got to interrupt our break conversation here. But
Okay,
that happens so often. Our program presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. It is each Tuesday at this time. And Tracy Pope, of course, is here. Tracy is Director of Community Relations for Vanderbilt Wilson. And by the way, I just picked up on that. Vanderbilt Wilson. That's a short version of Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Vanderbilt Wilson. We have Kylie Pittman, who's on the phone this morning with us. Kylie's the lead physical therapist, certified lymphedema and wound care therapist. I want to talk a little bit about wound care now, Kylie, and let me ask you, what is a certified wound care therapist?
Absolutely. So it is a wound care therapist that has been trained with multiple hours on the back side of things of education, taking training, and then you actually have to sit for a certification test where you have to pass that test. It is a United States worldwide test that it's you go and get it proctored, and then once you pass that, you become a certified wound care therapist. You also have to have multiple hours of wound care training before getting certified, which very thankful for Bobby Sobieschek and Tracy Conger, who led me my first 2 years here, maybe 3 before I got it. in the wound care treatment. They've been doing wound care here at Vanderbilt Wilson County for 20 plus years, which I will say, if you're a healthcare worker and thinking physical therapy does wound care, yes, we do. It is uncommon. That is not something that a lot of hospitals offer physical therapy doing the wound care, and most of the time it's nurses. But it is in our practice act that we can do wound care. And I actually, at Belmont, they do teach a whole course on wound care. So again, it's not very common to see physical therapists do it. But I will say Bobby Sobieschek and Tracy Conger have led the way here at Vanderbilt Wilson for 20 plus years.
All right. Who refers patients to you?
Yeah. So we get patients, and this goes for all of our services we offer. To be seen by us, you have to get an order from your physician. It can be your primary care doctor. It can be a vascular surgeon. It can be a walk-in clinic, an orthopedic. It doesn't matter. Most of our wound care is honestly, from the hospitalist, from the ER, or our primary care physicians here in the community. We see a lot of cellulitis, which is that is an infection of the skin in your legs. And so we see a lot of that. And if you are listening and have that, you're like, yes, I've had that. A lot of the times you will get a wound from that, and then we see that. Now we see spider bites and burns. If they're serious burns, we do send them downtown. But again, it's just from primary care physicians. We get a lot from our Vanderbilt Wilson County vascular surgeons and a lot from our trauma surgeons that they've got on board here at Vanderbilt Wilson County.
Well, is there one or two specific types of wounds that you see that are more common maybe than any others? Or is
sure, that's a great question. We do see a lot of like venous ulcers or diabetic ulcers, and that is, if you're diabetic, the importance of, you lose your sensation in your feet, and then it's important to make sure that you're checking the bottom of your feet daily to make sure that you haven't stepped on something or scratched your foot that you don't know, because you don't have that sensation, unfortunately. So we do see that a lot, where patients have stepped on a Lego or stepped on something and they don't realize it till a week or two later, and that wound is already created there. And then the venous insufficiency wounds we see, if you don't have proper blood flow in your legs, you can get a wound. And so we see that a lot here as well, and very capable of treating really any wound that walks in this door.
Anything you want to add at this juncture, Tracy, or do we move on?
I think Kylie is covering it. We're very fortunate to have certified wound care therapists at the hospital, because that's a service that you used to have to go somewhere else outside the community to have. So we're really excited that Bobby, like Kylie said, that Bobby and Tracy have led the way to offer that certified service at the hospital.
Okay, we're going to move over to lymphedema therapy. So tell us about your certification as a lymphedema therapist and others that work in your department.
Yes, sir. So again, in physical therapy school, you get a little bit of lymphedema covered in the education. However, you have to take a certification class after. So like the wound care certification, that was like my own self-guided study. I did that on my own time and then set for the boards after that. The lymphedema certification, I was actually had to be away for 10 days, and it's a pretty grueling course for 10 days to cover all the lymphedema information that you need to be able to treat, and then you do sit for a test in person to get that certification. Now, I'll tell you, I have Karen Sims, who's a lymphedema therapist also here at Vanderbilt Wilson, and she has been doing it for 15 plus years, and I'm pretty sure she had to go for like 15 days. So I've had my certification for 7 years now, so it's definitely 5 days less, but they cover a lot of information. And again, once you have that certification, you can treat lymphedema.
All right, since we're talking about this rather long word, what is lymphedema?
I love it. Education is my favorite part about physical therapy, is just educating others about their diagnosis, and lymphedema takes a lot of education. It is currently a non-curable diagnosis. However, it is very treatable. So lymphedema, edema means swelling, and lymph is your lymphatic system. So we know about our lymph nodes. Our lymph nodes are under our arms, in our stomachs, behind our knees, behind our ears. So whenever we have lymphedema, it is because that lymphatic system currently has an impairment that's causing swelling. So normally your lymphatic system works with your immune system to remove any type of excess fluid in your body, and it's actually protein fluid. It is not water-based fluid. So if you have swelling, and that swelling is just regular edema, and you take a water pill and that gets better, then you do not have lymphedema. Because if you were to take a water pill with lymphedema, and it would not get better, because lymphedema is protein fluid. So normally you filter it through your heart, through your kidneys, and then you excrete it out. If you have lymphedema, you can't do that. And because of gravity, it would either stay in your legs or in your arms or in your stomach. We see it in our arms a lot with our breast cancer patients. So we love now that Vanderbilt Wilson County has right next door to the physical therapy department is our radiation and our chemotherapy. And so we get a lot of referrals from our docs there where they've had breast cancer and now they're getting radiation or chemo and they're getting some swelling in their arm. Now, on the legs, there's usually not one diagnosis that we see. We see venous insufficiency. We've seen, unexpected swelling. You don't know where it's coming from. And we're able to treat that. Now, if you're sitting there thinking like, oh my goodness, do I have lymphedema or do I have edema? It doesn't matter. We can treat it. So if you're not sure, what you can do is just ask your primary care, like, hey, did you know we have a lymphedema clinic here at Vanderbilt Wilson in the community? Hopefully they say yes. We've done a lot of marketing to our physicians around here to make sure they know we're here. And how we treat that is with compression. So again, it's not curable, but it's treatable. And you can treat it with compression. And now you may be thinking, I've tried that. You have not tried medical grade compression. There's a difference. And there's lots of different compression, and it doesn't have to be that old white Ted hose you get from the hospital or something that you ordered off Amazon. Our goal is to make sure that you are comfortable in your compression garments daily so that you can control your swelling.
Well, how do you know if you need therapy?
Yeah, if you're swollen, you need therapy. And I say if you're swollen more than a month, right? So we kind of all go through times, if it's hot outside, or we twisted our ankle or had an injury, we may have some swelling. If that swelling is lingering around more than a month, let's go to your primary care. Let's see what they say. And sometimes the frustration that people get is, goodness, I've seen every doctor before coming to you. Well, you know what? Your heart is more important than your legs. Let's be honest. So your primary care may send you to the cardiologist, may send you to the pulmonologist, may send you to get your kidneys checked out. And that's okay. And if all that checks out, then you're sent to us. And, people get frustrated because they get better in a week or two once they've seen us. But I try to remind them, hey, your doctor's making sure that you don't have anything major going on. And if nothing's major going on, then yeah, let's send them to the lymphedema clinic. So, but the first thing is a lot of people say, oh, I'm just getting older, so I'm swelling. No, age is not an excuse for pain. It's not an excuse for swelling. There's something your physician or a specialist can do about that. So if you're having swelling more than a month, we want to see you.
All right, got one final question here. What would a patient expect during a lymphedema therapy session?
Absolutely. They would expect your first visit is an initial evaluation where we make sure that we are checking out, getting your history. We're looking at your legs. We're measuring your legs. And I say legs. We see about 60% legs, 40% arms. And in that 40%, we also see head and neck lymphedema. That's mainly from cancer. But going on with what I'm saying, after that, we do the measurements. We take a picture. We explain in detail for a full hour of what lymphedema is, how we're going to treat it. And then your next sessions are you're getting wrapped with something that looks like an ACE bandage. It can be a little intimidating. However, you're only in that for a short period of time. You see us 2 to 3 times a week. And then once we see you for 2 to 3 times a week for about a month, we've usually got your swelling down to a point that then we can fit you into an appropriate garment to control that swelling. So that's what it looks like. It's a lot of education. It's a lot of saying, the patient telling us, hey, I don't like the way that feels. And we listen to you because it's important, right? This is a long-term diagnosis that you need to be able to control at home So it's our job to figure out how we can best help you and make sure that you're in something you're comfortable with. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And we've come to the end of our time here. I want to thank you for being with us today. I think she's explained it real well, Tracy.
Absolutely. And in our therapy services department, we have an open gym like normal physical therapy departments, but then we also have private patient rooms. So depending on what your diagnosis is, it depends on where you will be seen. And these services are available, like we've said, at Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, and the address is 1411 West Badura Parkway. It's on the north side of the hospital, so the North Tower entrance, and the phone number is 615-443-6099, or you can always call the main entrance, the main number to the hospital, and ask for therapy services.
All right. Well, Kylie Pittman, thanks for being with us today. We appreciate it very much. And
I hope you guys have a blessed day.
All right. And Tracy, another good program. I'm glad you could make it out this morning.
Thankful to be here with you.
Got to just say, John Pope is your chauffeur today. John, thanks for a good job getting here early and safely.
Absolutely, Coleman.
And I'm
just a driver
We'll
today.
be seeing you before long, too. Well, that's part one of Coleman and Company, presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Stay with us for more. You're on FM 98.9.
All right, let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Absolute Kubota, high performance, high horsepower. 0% financing is still a thing. Now's the best time to save on new Kubota L-Series tractors, rated #1 for durability and owner experience in the U.S. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. TDOT's behind a stalled truck up here on 65 northbound right at Dickerson Pike. Here's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of one-car accidents, cars spinning out once they hit some of this ice and slush out here, and also some stalled vehicles. Certain roads are in pretty good shape, like I-40 here at Festers, and then you get on some of these major routes out here, and there's still snow covered. So please use caution and common sense if you have to get out and about. Hey, Prince's Hot Chicken is hiring in all 4 locations. Order online today at princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome to Hearthside Senior Living, Lebanon's unique senior living community designed for seniors to age in place, all within a safe, comfortable, and Christian environment. Beautiful retirement homes designed for an independent lifestyle with maintenance-free living. Hearthside Senior Living also continues the excellent tradition of assisted living for those seniors who need additional services. Hearthside Senior Living, an independent retirement community and assisted living community, all on one campus in the heart of Lebanon. Call 615-443-1994 for a tour.
What is your passion? How can you use that passion to enrich your community? Hi, this is Melanie Minter, President and CEO of the Lebanon Wilson County Chamber of Commerce. Your chamber is the resource for making connections to fulfill your passion. Whether education, nonprofit, agriculture, entertainment, or government relations, Wilson County offers a place for you to be involved. Your chamber connects businesses, individuals, and your passion to the community. We have an enthusiasm for excellence. Join us and catch the spirit. Call or visit our office at 149 Public Square in Lebanon.
Brutally cold temperatures continue for today. Partly sunny skies, a high of around 20. Wind chill values as low as -2. For tonight, mostly clear skies that low back down to around 1. Wind chill values as low as -10. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. Let's look at your forecast. I'm Stormy Clausen.
We welcome you to part 2 of Coleman and Company. It is a cold, snowy Tuesday morning here in the Cedar City. Time for us to talk about Hearthside Senior Living. Sean Dozier is on the phone. Sean, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman. I'm sorry I can't be there. I usually enjoy being there, but I'm out this morning picking up some of our staff. I've been to over on Leeville Pike picking up a dietary aid, and been to North Castle Heights to pick up resident assistant. Now I'm headed toward a place you know very well, Riddleton, Tennessee.
Oh, really?
Place of Coleman Walker, which is, if you don't know where Riddleton is, Coleman.
I know where it is, but it was, I didn't live there very long, but that's where I was born.
You told me you were born there one time,
yeah.
And actually, if you don't know where it is, you'll miss it because 25 goes around it now. I guess at one time the main road went through Riddleton, but it's between Dixon Springs in Carthage. And
Right.
one of our nurses, actually one of our best nurses, Cindy Huffine, she's our director of nursing, really. She lives out here, so I'm headed out there to get her. And if we don't have her, the facility doesn't run very well, so I was glad to do it.
Well, we always say hard side when it's time for a helping hand, and Sean, of course, is executive director. What's it like when there's 6 inches of snow on the ground? And we're already finding part of what it's out. You're out getting people, helping them get to work, those who work there. But for the residents, I guess they look out the window and enjoy the snow.
Yeah, for the residents, they enjoyed watching the snow out the window. In fact, we have our 2 gas fireplaces going, and they enjoy sitting around the fireplaces, just staying warm. And assisted living is a great place to be when it's like this, Coleman, because you got your 3 meals provided for you, you got your housekeeping, you got your laundry. You don't have to do much of anything when it's like this or any day.
Well, we've got somebody that has not left yet. We just said hello to him at the end of part 1, but John Pope drove Tracy this morning, and he has someone that is near and dear to him that is one of your residents, I understand.
Well, his mom lives in our independent living, and I'm glad she does. She has a wonderful home, a beautiful home, a nice 3-bedroom home down in the independent living, and I was glad to see her move in a couple of years ago, and I think she really enjoys it. She has a lot of friends down there. And
well, John would like to endorse what you said.
Absolutely, Coleman. I mean, Sean and his entire staff do an excellent job at the assisted living facility as well as the independent living homes. And Sean talked to me for a while, my brother and I, about the decision, and it took us a while to finally get there, but I appreciate Sean's patience, and because it's something that I think a lot of families need to look at. I know my brother and I, of course, Tracy and my brother's wife, we kind of collectively made that decision through Sean's help, and we are so glad we did.
Well, there's nothing like a good endorsement, Sean.
that's great. Yeah, I appreciate John saying that. It does take a while for families to sort of get to that point, and it's an honor really to walk with them through that process. And when they finally make the decision to do it, 100% of the time they're glad they made that decision. And many times I wish I could, pull the shades off the window and show them what it's really like, and they would make the decision sooner. But once they make the decision, they're glad they made it, and we have a lot of happy folks down in our independent living, a lot of happy folks in our assisted living. That's why we have a wait list for both places, and I think it's a testimony to staff and to how well the houses are built and how well the facilities run.
Well, our community's nonprofit assisted living provider, locally owned and managed, and I think that says an awful lot. Locally owned and managed.
Local people, and you don't have to call somewhere, far away to get an answer. You just call me or call Cindy, one of our nurses, and it's all right there, all right here local. And I think that makes a world of difference.
All right, you ready for a Hearthside hello?
Well, let's just give it to Pace Pope, John's mom.
How about that, John?
Yeah, that's nice. I hope she's listening.
Okay.
I'll make sure she does.
All right. That's our Hearthside hello this morning. And when we reach the Hearthside hello, it's about time to say goodbye to you. But thanks for being with us today, Sean. And hopefully we'll have warmer temperatures this week from now, and we'll see you here live in studio.
I'll see you next week, Coleman.
All right.
Thank you.
Sean Dozier, he is Executive Director of Hearthside Senior Living, 215 Castle Heights Avenue North, and their phone number 615-443-1994. 22 before the hour. You're never going to guess, if you don't already know, who my guest is this morning for part 2. But it is my pleasure to have live in studio the one and only Mac Griffin. Mac, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
We've saved the best for last, I guess, today.
Well, I don't know. Like I told you the other day, I think you're scraping the bottom of the guest barrel if you brought me in here.
Well, we've got from now to 8 o'clock, with the exception of our little break at 1:45, to talk about some things with you. And you've been with us off and on, I guess, for 30 years. And more recently, more off and on, but you are back. And we want to let everybody know that. But I thought it would be interesting to find out a little bit about some of the things that I personally would like to know about you that I don't. You just all of a sudden appeared, and you are an on-the-air personality. You have, I think, a disc jockey service or something that you did on the side. You've been in the banking business for most of the time I've known you. But I think you came here from Gallatin. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm born and bred in Gallatin.
And now I believe you live out close to the Smith County line, out past Goshen, somewhere out here, past Taylorsville.
Actually, now it's more the Wilson-Trousdale County line that we live. We're out in your area, basically.
Well, once upon a time it was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, good to see you this morning. Let's start out by saying you have taken over the Saturday morning slot that
Tim Hitt
Hitt has had for a long, long time. And I think you've kept some of the features that he had, maybe added some of your own. So I guess, first of all, we'll talk about that. You're the new Saturday morning guy.
Yeah, and it was a really big honor for me that Susie and management out here at the station invited me to come back and take on the Saturday morning role, because Tim had done this for over 20 years. And it's kind of interesting. It's like a full circle thing, because when I first started here at WANT back in the mid-'90s, I was working Saturday mornings. Mm-hmm. And then eventually they gave me the opportunity to work the afternoon drive, and so I left Saturday mornings, and Tim Hitt came in to work Saturdays. Now, Tim wants to take a step back, sort of semi-retirement. He's going to be filling in for me on Saturdays that I can't be here for other obligations, whatever. But for the most part, I'll be doing Saturdays from 8 to noon.
All right. Now, I mentioned banking, and I understand if you haven't retired, you're really, really close to hanging it up as a banker.
Yes. My official retirement date is January 31st, so whatever, 15, 16 days left. Now, if you talk to people at Wilson Bank, they would tell you that they thought I had retired a year ago, because they haven't seen me doing a lot. But I've had some great folks that have taken over my role at the bank, and we have slowly transitioned all of those responsibilities.
How did you get into the banking business? And I think you worked a place or two besides Wilson Bank in the beginning. Where did you start out banking?
Well, I graduated from UT Knoxville back in 1981, and it was at the height of a recession. And you may remember interest rates back then. We talk about how high rates are now.
18, 20, maybe 22%.
Yes, prime rate was 21%. Nobody was hiring for anything. Banking was the last thing on my list of careers. What I really wanted to do was be a meteorologist. But colleges back then, universities, did not offer that as a degree. You had to be in the military and learn it that way, and then get hired to do a weather forecasting job. So that was off the table.
The TV thing is what you aspired?
TV or just even working for the National Weather Service or whatever. Any of that, they really wanted back in those days still to have sort of a military background where you had worked in meteorology and weather forecasting, air traffic control, that type of thing. So that was off the table. I loved radio. I grew up in Gallatin working for some folks. Lee Raines is one person you may remember from WAMG radio, and then I worked at WHIN in Gallatin and some other stations.
Jack Williams,
Bill Bunton, some different ones there. And so that was my passion. But in college, my parents said, hey, you need to make a real career, and radio just doesn't seem like the thing to do, So they were all about get a business degree, blah, blah, blah. So I did radio on the side to help work my way through college, and then got a degree in business. Wound up getting a job in banking because, as I say, right out of in the middle of a recession, nobody was hiring, but banks were.
Which bank did you start?
This was a bank in North Carolina. It was a big bank over there. Wachovia Bank was the name of it. It was a 100-plus-year-old bank, which eventually got bought by Wells Fargo, but it was long after I had left when that happened.
How long were you there?
I was there for 10 years, worked in the western portion of North Carolina, primarily Asheville and in that area. And that was back in the day before Asheville was really a hip place to go. Now it's really a nice place to go visit. Back then, there was hardly anything at all going on in Asheville. But I worked there for 10 years and then had an opportunity to come back to Middle Tennessee and was excited to do that because I enjoyed this part of the country, grew up in it, loved the people, loved the weather, loved everything about it. And even the 7-inch snow, I can handle that. So came back and worked. I got a job with, at that time, it was Sovereign Bank. It had been, that was where Commerce Union had been purchased by Sovereign. Worked there. Eventually it became Nations Bank and eventually Bank of America. Bank of America loved whittling back on the staff that they had, and so I felt like that my days were numbered, and I went ahead and took an opportunity in the late 90s to jump over from one of the biggest banks in the country, if not the biggest, to one of the smallest banks here in Wilson County, and that was Liberty State Bank, which is a great opportunity for me to learn community banking. And so I worked there in compliance and audit, which was my primary focus anyway. Worked there for 10 years. And then Randall Clemens gave me a call one day and asked if I had an interest in coming to work for Wilson Bank and Trust. And I said I would love to, and so we worked out a deal. My wife actually was an employee there at the time, so you couldn't have husband and wife working together, so she left and I stayed.
Is that when you quit being in the disc jockey in the afternoon?
Yes, when I took the job at Wilson Bank, I left the afternoon show. And I'll step back and say at Liberty State Bank, they really didn't need a full-time compliance audit person at that time. So it was a perfect fit for me. I got to do banking during the day and pay the bills with that. And then I got to come and play disc jockey in the afternoon from 3 to 6, which was super fun. And so when I took the job at Wilson Bank, then they said, well, really, it is a full-time job. So.
Well, you no doubt have learned a lot about banking in this time frame.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I've done it all. I mean, from running a branch to handling audits and examinations with the FDIC, so it's been
the compliance part, though, is very important, and you're in the background, and if you're not out front where people see you a lot, people don't even know you work there unless you tell them.
That's right. They just look and say, so you're the one that helps write those commercials that has all the fine print at the bottom that doesn't make a bit of sense. It's like, that's exactly right. That's us.
Well, it's time for us to take a break. Matt Griffin is with us. We'll talk more in a moment. You're on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Bates Ford, the Works Vehicle Checkup. They'll make sure your vehicle is ready for any road. $59.95 up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal, tire rotation and safety check. 1780 Franklin Road. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. We see a wreck, but it's over to the side out in Dixon County on 40 going eastbound before you get to that Dixon exit. Again, all the major inbound routes are moving for the most part, but there's still a lot of routes that are still snow covered and still very dangerous out here as TDOT moves a stalled truck on 65 northbound near that Dickerson exit. It's starting to pick up a little bit more volume on 840 this morning coming in from Rutherford County into Williamson County. Prince's Hot Chicken is hiring at all 4 locations. Order online today at princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
The cozy warmth after coming in from a chilly, pink-cheeked morning walk. The perfect man cave temperature to kick back and watch the big game. When the weather turns cold, a new Rheem heating system will surround your family in total comfort. Are you feeling it? Rheem, the new degree of comfort.
Feel year-round comfort with a new HVAC system installed by the pros at Randy's Heat and Air. We're the local team you can trust. Call Randy's Heat and Air today at 615-237-3604.
1.5 seconds left, no timeouts. Here's your season. Negron gives it to Bird. Bird for the win! It's good! College Hoops is back, and so is Cumberland University on the radio. Join me, John Boyce, in the booth for every Mid-South Conference game this regular and postseason for both men's and women's Phoenix basketball. Conference games are every Thursday starting at 5:30 and every Saturday starting at 1 o'clock. Phoenix basketball is right here on 98.9. Cumberland's a winner.
Coleman and Company, thanks for joining us in our final segment here on this, I'm not going to say snowy Tuesday morning because I think the snow is over. But, yeah, 6, 7 inches on the ground. Did you measure it at your house, Mac?
I did. Actually, the official Mitchell Road count is 6.5 inches.
All right.
And that was on a patio table on our deck, so it was nice and level.
Yeah.
And there was no real wind blowing with this snow, so whatever accumulated, I think it was a pretty accurate measurement.
All day yesterday, I kept thinking it's going to quit. It's going to quit. It snowed nearly all day, and maybe I know. Late yesterday afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock, I swept snow off my car, thinking it to be ready for in the morning, and there was just a little bit on there this morning at 4 o'clock that I had to get off.
Same thing happened with me,
yeah.
too. But the snow actually started. It was like a 24-hour event. It started around 6 o'clock Sunday night. And like you say, it was still snowing after 6 o'clock last night.
Well, if I don't see any more for a while, it'll be all right. But back to you. You've had, no doubt, an interesting life and an interesting career in banking, an interesting thing with radio. Were you born in Sumner County?
Born in Sumner County. Green Wave all the way. Graduated from Gallatin High School.
What year did you graduate high school?
1977.
Let's see. Calvin Short was the coach. Long during that time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time he embarrassed Hester Gibbs so very much when Hester was coaching at Lebanon High, and that might have been in the early 80s. I don't know. But for a long period of time there, the Gallatin Green Wave was kind of kingpin in Middle Tennessee football.
They were. And I always have a story about Calvin had hired an assistant coach who also was an algebra teacher. And I heard this rumor and decided I would choose this guy to be my Algebra 2 teacher. He was teaching Algebra 2 and trigonometry, and I thought, I want to go with the football coach. This ought to be a breeze. First day he stands up in class and says he has a master's and he's working on a PhD in mathematics from Purdue. And I thought, well, I made a mistake here.
Did you enjoy high school?
I did. We had a good time. Was very active with a lot of different things. I was in the high school band.
What'd you play?
Played trombone.
Oh.
And so I was in the marching band and the concert band, and was on the newspaper staff, and just a lot of different things there that I was involved in. And
what about your athletic accomplishments?
Well, mine are few and far between. I did run track, but I was a sprinter. And back in those days, they still would say they would still measured it in yards. So it'd be like the 100-yard dash or the this or that and the other thing. But
how'd you get in radio?
Well, I always had a passion for it, and actually had written a letter an actual letter. People used to do that, and I wrote a letter to WHIN and asked them if they could tell me what I needed to do to learn how to be a disc jockey. And I forgot what age I wrote it. I might have been 14 years old or something. And about a year after I'd forgotten about the letter, about a year later, a guy from WHIN, he was the new station manager out there that had been hired, found this letter in the desk drawer of the office he was occupying and called me and said, "Why don't you come out?" He said, "I'd like to meet you." And he said, "Maybe you could sit."
You remember his name?
I'm sorry to say I do not remember his name. He was only there for about 3 years.
Okay, well, it wasn't Charlie Brewer.
It was not.
Charlie was there back in the 60s, I remember, and Lee Raines was over there with them. And actually, so was Hugh Jarrett, who sang with the Jordanaires.
That's right, yes, he was.
And then John Branham from Lebanon came over there. I used to listen to WHIN a lot, and they had a good radio station.
Yeah, it was really good. And Lee Raines eventually asked me to come and work for him at his station across town in Gallatin, so I did some of that as well.
Yeah, he was over here for 3 years, 72, 3 and 4, 73, 4 and 5. I believe 73, 4 and 5. And when he went back, he started another station over there, and then later got into the insurance business.
Yeah.
But Lee was a fine guy.
He really was, and he taught me a lot.
He was pretty persnickety. You did it his way, but he was a really great guy.
Very, very much so. In fact, I always just wanted to be a disc jockey. That was the fun thing to me, and he was more of the business end of radio. So he eventually had me out when I would come home from college at Christmas time. He would have me out selling advertising and do all of these things, and I'm sure he had already worked out the deal with somebody because they'd say, "Sure." I thought, it can't be this easy, so he's still behind the scenes.
Did you enjoy the selling at all?
I enjoyed talking to the people. I always found it difficult, though, to actually close the sale at the end, which is obviously the critical part of the whole sales process. Yeah. But a lot of it was this thing, and I've learned it over the years, even in banking, is that a lot of times you just have to establish the relationship. Nothing's going to happen right away necessarily, but people will remember you if they have trust in you and they have a rapport.
You really have to sell yourself first. Mm-hmm. And they've got to kind of believe in you, trust you. You don't. There are too many people who known as super salespeople who go and promise anything to get to the bottom line. Mm-hmm. You know, and then when you don't come through with what you promised, you're not trusted anymore. And I found that I never considered myself super salesperson, but I did try to earn people's trust, and if I promised something, to carry through the very best I could. And I think that's a big thing.
It is, and it goes a long way in life. It's not just sales, but it carries over into all aspects, I think.
Yeah. But we get back to the fact that you're the Saturday morning guy here. Now let's talk about what your Saturday morning show is about here on Real Country.
Well, I think the biggest challenge is waking up. But then once I get into the studio, it's like an 8 to 12 shift on Saturday, the same one that Tim Hitt used to have. And I will say Tim laid a fantastic foundation for this program. He is such a great guy, and so I wanted to stick with a lot of the different segments of his program that he had because it's been well accepted. So from 8 to 9 o'clock every Saturday morning, we will have something similar to what Tim used to do, which was classic country. So anything from prior to 1990, as far back as our library of music goes, we will feature that in a segment we call Classic Country and Coffee.
Which, in another way, is oldies but goodies.
It's oldies but goodies.
But it's country oldies.
Yeah, but it's country. And, you know, there are fewer stations anywhere in the country that even feature these legends of country music. So it's exciting to be able to do that.
You might even hear Kitty Wells singing, "It Wasn't God Who Made Honky Tonk Angels."
That's exactly right. You never know who you might hear.
But you go with Bill Monroe, whatever.
Yeah,
and
whoever it happens to be.
That's pretty country.
Patsy Cline, whoever it happens to be. Yeah. And so that's the first hour is just classic country and coffee. And then from 9 to 10, we call it 90s at 9. So this will be all 90s country. It's almost like stepping back to a line dance class because a lot of the music back in the 90s was all geared toward line dancing and that sort of thing. But you'll hear everything from Brooks and Dunn to Garth Brooks to Wade Hayes to you name it. You know, you'll hear it. Kenny Chesney, whoever. Mm-hmm. So that's the 9 o'clock hour. 10 o'clock will continue to be what Tim established, and that is the top 10 at 10. So we will go down the Billboard top 10 list of country music for the week. So we'll start at number 10 and lead down to the number one song for the week and announce what that is. And so we have a lot of fun with that. And with that hour, there's a lot of background to, I think, interesting facts, little known facts about a lot of the artists that we're featuring during that hour.
Now, where do you get all that?
From this friend of mine known as the Internet, or as I like to say, the interweb. So it's on there. MJ's over there nodding her head. She's heard of it too. So, and so we get a lot of information from that, and you can just poke around and find different things. Just want to make sure it's accurate because I've heard that not everything that's on the internet is really true. So I don't know how true that is, but I'm a little cautious about that. And then the last hour from 11 to 12 is just sort of it's a free for all. I mean, it's more geared toward the real country format that we have. And during an hour, you'll hear a classic country song. You'll hear something that's very current. You'll hear something that's recurrent from the last 10, 15 years, something like that. So.
Well, you've been doing this a little already. You get many requests. You get some phone call requests.
I do get several requests, and I actually have. It turns out some sort of following in Gallatin. So once the word got out that I was back on the air, I started getting phone calls from a lot of my Gallatin friends and so forth. So,
you evidently you played in the band at Gallatin High. You probably like all kinds of music. Where does country rate on your like chart?
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say it's somewhere between the 8 and the 10. It actually has climbed up over the years. Although I grew up with it, my dad was an avid listener of 650, and he'd listen to the Waking Crew in the morning and all of that craziness. And so I grew up around that and just have continued with it over the years.
There's somebody that was at WHIN who played country music back in the day, George Scott. Do you remember George?
I remember George Scott, and he was quite a character. I won't get into all the details, but he was quite a character.
But I gravitated to country music too. At one time, country wasn't cool, and I wasn't too cool with country, to be honest about it. Maybe in my high school days, but I love country music.
I love it. I started out in country, and then WHIN was more of a pop format when I was there, and then I've worked at several other stations part-time over the years, filling in on weekends and whatnot, and most of those were non-country stations, but it was fun to get to gravitate back to country.
But at least you're a music jack of all trades to some degree, and country's going to be the thing on Saturday mornings. Look at the clock. We got 30 seconds.
Wow.
Time has flown.
It really has.
Well, it's really been nice to have you here, and I'm glad you could make it this morning. You going to work now?
This morning we have modified hours, so it's 10 to 2 for this one day at the
We'll give Wilson Bank's a great advertiser with us. They'll be open from 10 to 2 today.
That's right.
All right. And you'll be in the compliance department, so it doesn't matter whether you're there or not, right?
Probably true. That's
what a way to...
Well said, Coleman.
I didn't really mean it. I was kidding. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's it for a Tuesday. Hope you'll join us tomorrow. And until then, I wish you a terrific day.